Hello, everyone, and welcome to the recording of our required CC session for Thursday, April 11th. This is our escape room CC session. So just like last week's escape room, I'm recording the video instead of recording the live Blackboard session so that we can get into each of the escape rooms together on the video and walk through it together because the Blackboard doesn't show you what's in the escape rooms. So let's get started. And the first thing that I want you to take a look at is the bell ringer here. And I want you to think about who is your favorite character now. Now at the end of the novel, who is your favorite character from Lord of the Flies? And then really think about the why. So now you have an idea of how all of the characters have changed, grown, what they've done, their actions, their thinking, who they are truly as people in the novel. And so I want you to pick one that might be your favorite. And it doesn't have to be one that you connect with or that you like. You don't have to, doesn't have to say, I like their personality. You could definitely say this character is just really interesting, or they did a lot of really interesting things in the novel. And that's okay too. You might say, Jack was pretty evil. I don't personally like him. I don't think I'd pick him as a best friend, but I want to write about him because he's so interesting. So that's what I mean by favorite. Okay, so think about that and think about the why. And we talked a little bit about this last week in the CC session because I asked you the very same thing. And we talked about the next steps. The next steps from here, we are going to be writing a character analysis essay. I know that's not news to you, but we are going to be picking that one character, like we said, that's really interesting to us. Earlier this week, we started finding evidence for those main characters in our CC session from Tuesday. So if you haven't watched that yet, make sure that you do that. And that's where we got together in teams and started building and finding evidence on, who is Ralph, who is Piggy, who is Simon, who is Jack, what do they do, what do they look like, what do they think, how do they act towards each other, what are other people thinking about them, how do they change and grow, and these are going to be really important questions you ask yourself as you begin to write your own analysis. And don't worry, next week I'm going to teach you all about that analysis piece. And I have a fun graphic organizer, and and you've seen the graphic organizer. It's part of your packet that you've been filling out on your characters that you started on Tuesday. But it's the IC method. You know how I love my acronyms. We use the P method for the P paragraph or argument, and now we're using IC, like iPhone, to write a literary analysis. I don't want you to worry about that. I know essays can cause some anxiety, but with that graphic organizer and how it's broken down, I really think that it will be a process that is definitely manageable. Okay. So now that you have that in mind, let's get started with our escape room challenges of fun. Okay. So agenda for today, we're going to play 3 rounds of an escape room. And if you win and are able to solve the challenges, you'll be able to escape the island. And our goals for today, you can analyze the plot of Lord of the Flies. That'll be our first escape room, is looking at the whole plot of Lord of the Flies, what happens. And you can analyze the characters in the Lord of the Flies. So we'll be looking at all the main characters of Lord of the Flies and kind of picking out who they are. And then finally, I can complete a close read of a passage from Lord of the Flies and discuss the literary elements. You know how Miss Brown loves her close reading strategies and our marginal notes. So today you'll have an opportunity to continue in that practice. And you'll be able to read a passage and create your own marginal notes, and then you will be able to answer some questions on it to reveal the code. All right, so don't worry, we'll go through a lot of that together. This slide was more relevant to those that came to the live session. We had created our norms together a long time ago. I think it's what, two 2 weeks ago when we first started our escape rooms. We created these together. These are the things that you had suggested when we're working collaboratively with our peers. This doesn't apply to you today as you're watching the recording, but just something to keep in mind whenever we collaborate with one another inside of our live sessions. These are some of the things that we had talked about together. And you know, Miss Brown encouraged others to participate. I was always that shy kid that just needed someone to say, hey, Miss Brown, what do you think? Remember, of course, they called me Miss Brown when I was in school. So just something to keep in mind, but doesn't really apply to our activities today since we are going to be doing this independently today. All right, so let's get started. Step one, let's get some background. What is going on? All right, you came to as the sound of waves rises in your ears. You roll over and shield your eyes against the blinding sun inside your house. Your other hand runs across sand. Why is it sandy? You sit up slowly, head pounding. Were you unconscious? You can see your classmates slowly starting to sit up around you, also startled at having washed up on a mysterious island. You can see some rusting pieces of an old airplane further up the beach, and a rickety hut or two. Does anyone live here? Maybe you should explore the island. If everyone works together, surely you can all find a way to safely escape the island. Okay, so let's get started with our very first escape room. Before we do that, though, I want to give you a suggestion for how this can work. Inside of the live escape rooms, the students had the ability to go back and forth throughout the slides to be able to solve these challenges and also to be able to add their answers to the answer key. And it will be kind of hard to do all of that with a video. You can toggle the video back and forth. So if you do just want to watch the video, you can move the video back and forth to be able to see the material in each escape room. But I think it would be easier if you had the PowerPoint itself up on your screen. I don't want you to just go through the PowerPoint and not go through the video as well, because I'm going to explain each of the escape rooms. But to be able to move back and forth through the slides is going to be really helpful. And you'll also be able to write on the PowerPoint your answers and your marginal notes. So inside the description of our video, you're going to find a link to the exit ticket. Okay, but you will also find a link to the Google Doc for this PowerPoint. So you'll actually be able to type on this as a Google Doc. Some of these are images so that they don't move around and get confusing for you as you open the Google Doc. So you may have to make some text boxes to create and add your information to that, but I'll talk more about that when we get to that slide. So my recommendation is to pause the video here, look in the description underneath, so just kind of scroll your D2L down, and you'll see the link for the Google form for the PowerPoint slides. Click that open and then come back to the video. Okay, so the very first escape room, this is slide 6 that I'm on now, if you want to kind of go with me on it. But first, let's read through the directions. As you approach the huts, you begin to think something terrible may have happened on this island. Maybe you'll be able to find some clues about what happened that will help you and the others get rescued before it's too late. In and around the huts, you find some pieces of paper. It looks as though they may have been torn out of a journal. Perhaps reading through them will help you understand what happened. Okay, so your job is there are 8 journal entries on the next few slides. You're going to read through the 8 journal entries, and then you're going to fill in the number of each journal entry in the order that they happened in Lord of the Flies. So they are not currently in order, and you have to reorder these journal entries of when they actually took place in the novel. And your code down here, your answer sheet, which I'll show you in a minute, is for you to add the numbers, and you'll end up with just a really long, big number. Okay, so on slide 12, if you're following along with me, there is the answer sheet here. Again, you'll have to create a text box either over the entire thing or one for each, because this is just a picture image so that it doesn't move around on you. Okay, so you can do that. You can either add it right to the PowerPoint by creating a text box, or you can just write it down on a piece of paper. That's okay too. You will not turn in the PowerPoint, so use it however you see best fits your learning. Okay. If you just want to watch the video, that's fine too. I will go to each slide just like this one, and you can pause the video and read through them. And then of course you can go back and forth through the slides as you need, because you might need to reread them. Okay, so escape room 1, pause the video if you're going to go through the PowerPoint slides, and keep the video going if you're going to stick with me. Okay, so here's the first set of slides, and I'll just ask you to pause the video while you read, and then resume the video to go to the next slides. Here's number 6 and number 5. Okay, moving on. This is number 7 and number 3. Again, pause the video to read. This is number 2 and number 8. Pause the video to read. And this is number 4 and number 1. Pause the video to read. Okay, once you have a code number, it'll be a big long number, and the numbers will all be jumbled up, it's not in order. Then write that down or have it on the PowerPoint slide, because your exit ticket today is going to ask you for the 3 escape room challenge answers. So escape room challenge 1, or escape room 1, was this number code. So write that down, have it handy, because then you can fill out your exit ticket. Okay, moving on to escape room 2. Congratulations for escaping the first room. Escape room 2, we are going to be looking at the characters. I'm on slide 14 if you're wanting to follow along in the PowerPoint itself. The directions are, you begin to wonder more about the people who were here before. What were they like? What did they do here? Why did they disappear? Okay, collect information from around the island to discover their identities. So, you are going to be correctly identifying the characters from the novel according to their descriptions. You're going to read 8 character descriptions, and then on your answer sheet, you're going to write the letters from the cards next to the correct character. These letters, in order, will spell out the mystery word. So let me show you what I mean. So you'll get a description, a natural leader, and then there'll be a letter there, okay? And then on your answer sheet, which looks like this, you'll add the letters in here. Now in order, starting with this one here, goes here, this one here, okay, here. When they're in order, it will spell out a word that's relevant to Lord of the Flies, and it is a real word. So if you find that, oh, this isn't a real word, we might need to keep reworking it until we come up with not only a real word, but a word relevant to our book, just like last week, okay? So if you want to use the PowerPoint to read through these, you can do that and pause this video. If you want to stick with me on the video itself, just using a piece of paper to write down the letters, you can do that as well. Okay, so read through these first 4. A natural leader, intelligent, methodical, slight, furtive, natural tendency to cruelty. Now these quotes are from the text itself, so maybe you can use these in your literary analysis next week. Just a suggestion. And then last one, choir leader, silly, without ugliness. Okay, so pay attention to those letters. I'm going to skip to the next set of 4 character descriptions, but remember you can move through the video or the PowerPoint slides as you need. Poetic, sensitive loner, identical twins. Remember that these twins have a special name. Numerous small children. Assumes everyone is up to fun and games. So then, on this chart here, you're going to fill in which letter goes with each character to create your code word. Once you have your code word, write it down, pay attention to it so you can turn it in for your exit ticket, and then you've escaped the room, and we have one more room to escape before we escape the island. I'm going to move on, but remember you can always pause the video or go back and forth through the video as you need. Okay, final escape room is the close read. You know how Miss Brown loves her close reading. Okay, so the directions are, oops, sorry about that random sound. The directions are read the following passage carefully, then write the letter of the correct answers in the boxes on your answer sheet. They will spell out an important word in this book. So your first step is going to be to pause the video and read through. If you're going to work through on the PowerPoint slide, create a text box here and add in your information, your marginal notes. Otherwise, you can just take it down on a piece of paper. Just, paragraph 1, marginal notes, paragraph 2, marginal notes, paragraph 3, marginal notes, to keep track of your thinking while you're reading. And then your questions are going to look like this. And I will pause. I'll go through these two and have you pause as you work through them. But you'll notice it's not A, B, C, D. They are letters, and the correct one is going to give you a letter in our final code word here. Okay? So be paying attention to those, and they will go in order. So this is question 1, question 2, question 3. Sorry. Okay? All right. So back to the close reading passage. Pause the video. Read carefully, take your marginal notes, and then come back and I'll move to the questions. Okay, here's questions 1 through 4. Again, pause the video to work through each of these questions, paying attention to the letters to help you make a word, and then we'll go to the next set of 4 questions. Okay. And here is questions 5 through 8. Pause the video to work through these questions, paying attention to the letter and write them down in order. And that should leave you with a word here. Again, this word is relevant to Lord of the Flies, and it is a real word. So if they're not real words, if something's off about it, then we probably have to go back and look at the questions. Okay, well, now that you have all 3 codes, you have officially escaped the island. The only thing you have left to do is your exit ticket, and then you are free. Yay. Okay. So your exit ticket link is here, but I know that that's a lot to type in. And of course, it has to be typed exactly correct or it doesn't lead anywhere. So I'm including the link in the description of this video as well. Directly underneath the Google Slides version of the PowerPoint will be a link. Remember though that if you click on the link in the description and it doesn't take you to anywhere, if you get an error message, then what I want you to do is copy and paste the link and put it into your browser. So some people's security or D2L security sometimes interferes, sometimes doesn't interfere. So try copying and pasting that link into your browser window and then it will work. Okay, so if you're finding any issues with that. Now, before you run away, if you have any questions, if you're struggling with any pieces of this, if you're not sure, if you can't escape the room, send me an email message or send me a Skype message. I'll be happy to give you clues and tips to get you through so that you can fully escape the island because you'll want to have those correct answers for your exit ticket. If you have any questions about anything else that's happening in the class or need any help or want to meet to talk about anything that we are learning, please let me know again through email or Skype. And that is all I have for today. After you finish your exit ticket, you have escaped, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, everyone.